read by Dale Grothman. They were a peaceful people, and somehow couldn't stand the thought of executing their only criminal. The answer was to discover A Hero from Yesterday by Robert Randall. The day Lugert's criminals gunned down 3 citizens in a bold, broad daylight robbery, Domnus Carson, the 3rd Speaker of the Council, said, "I think I've got an answer." "Answer? To what?" said Mergden Darrell, 4th Speaker. "To Lugert," said Carson. "The weapon we can use against that throwback who's been terrorizing us all." Darrell sounded weary. "There is no answer to Lugert, I'm afraid. We're peaceful people. He's a throwback to a more violent age. There's no way to cope with him. Would you want to be the one to shoot him down?" Carson shuddered and said, "No, not me. Of course not. I'm no more capable of violence than anyone else. But Lugert can be stopped. We can get help." "From where?" "From the past," said Carson. "From the ugly, crime-ridden world we evolved out of. Dr. Lorenz of the Science Council has developed a time net, which—" Of course, Darrell exclaimed. "Bring a man out of the past. A man who won't be inhibited by our innate hatred of violence. A man who will be able to deal with Lugert as he deserves." He rose and strode around the long council room in quick, nervous steps. "Call Lorenz, Carson. Get him at work on the project at once. We can't waste any more time. There's no telling when Lugert might—" The visiphone chimed 3 times. Carson crossed the room and depressed the receiving stud. On the screen, the features of a thick-faced, stocky man appeared. "Lugert, what do you want?" "I'm pleased you recognize me so quickly, Speaker Carson," said the stocky man in a slow, deep voice. "My fame must be spreading, then." "You didn't call to chat with us, Lugert. What is it you want?" Lugert's face hardened slowly. "You're right. I didn't call to chat. I called to tell you to get out." "What's that?" "I said get out. Pick up your records and papers and clear out of the government building, Carson. You and all the rest of you. I'm taking over." Carson paled. "Taking over the government? How far do you think you can go, Lugert?" Again the confident, cheerful, steel-hard grin that had become the Lugert trademark in such an astonishingly brief time. "How far? Why, Carson, I can go as far as I like. There isn't one of you who dares say no to anything I ask. And now I'm asking for the government. Go ahead. Refuse. Get indignant. Threaten me. All this easy winning bores me, Carson." Carson stared at the thick-featured face framed by the visiscreen. "You've won again," he said after a pause. "We can't fight you, Lugert. How much time do we have to evacuate the government building?" "How much do you need?" Carson thought for a moment. "A week, at least. Is that all right?" "1 week. No more," Lugert agreed. "My men and I will come up to take over things at noon on 7 September. He chuckled. 7 September, 2531. A day to go down in history, eh, Carson? He broke the connection. Carson turned to the dead screen and looked at Speaker Darrell. "Well, there's our ultimatum," he said. 1 week to get out, and then Lugert takes over. "That means we'll have to move fast," said Darrell. "You'd better call Dr. Lorenz." Only a week? Carson was already busy punching out Lorenz's code numbers on the visiphone. When the scientist appeared, Carson quickly sketched out the situation as it stood. Lorenz's eyes widened when Carson told of Lugert's threat. Then the speaker went on to outline the part Lorenz and his time net would play in the attempt to defeat Lugert. "I'll see what I can do," Lorenz promised. "I'll try to find the man we're looking for." "Can you do it in 2 days or less?" "I hope so," Lorenz said. It took 2 days. Then Lorenz ran the office of the council and told Carson, "It's worked." "The time net? You've got the man?" "I have. I'll bring him right over." Lorenz entered the council room a while later, followed by a tall, thin, lean-faced man dressed in archaic clothing. Carson's heart thumped excitedly. Here was a man, he thought. Here was a hero from yesteryear who would put an end to the threat Lugert represented. "This is Speaker Carson and Speaker Darrell of our governing council," Lorenz said. The man from the past nodded curtly. "You can call me Jack." His voice was cold, flat, with a curious twang of a regional accent in it. The vowel pronunciation was odd, as was to be expected. Carson eyed the hard-faced stranger. He didn't seem to have an ounce of fat on him. He looked tough, uncompromising. "I think you'll do," he said after a moment's study. "You've got the stuff." "Thanks," said Jack in a wry voice. "Suppose you line the program out for me now. Give me the picture. Tell me what I'm here for." Carson frowned. "You're here to help us, because we're helpless ourselves. Did Dr. Lorenz tell you what the characteristics of this world are?" "He said a few things. You fill me in." "It's 300 years since we last had a war of any sort. Crime has been extinct 150 years. Until Lugert." "Lugert. I heard of him. Who is he?" "He's the man you're going to kill for us," Carson said bluntly. The man named Jack grinned. "Oh, a rub-out job." "I think that's the term," said Carson. "Lugert's a throwback, a man out of the past, a man out of your time, suddenly reborn in our era for God knows what reason. He's cold and hard and utterly ruthless. Nothing stops him. We're powerless. The compulsion against violence is too strong in us." "Just a bunch of patsies," Jack said. "Lugert snaps the whip and you lie down and play dead when he says so. That it?" It took Carson a few moments to digest the strange idioms. Finally he said, "Right. He began small, with petty thefts and burglaries. He took anything he wanted. Then he began branching out. He compelled a scientist to create a serum for him that would instill absolute loyalty to him in anyone who took it. Using the serum, he built up a band of henchmen who share his violent ways. 2 days ago, he decided to take the ultimate grab for power. He ordered us to evacuate the government building and let him take over." "And you said yes," Jack remarked. "What else could we do? But we have a weapon. You. You share Lugert's way of life. We don't. We can strike at him indirectly through you." "You want me to kill this Lugert. What's in it for me?" "What?" "I said, what's in it for me? What do I get out of it besides the risk of a punctured hide? I don't do these things for my health, Carson." Carson thought about it for a moment. Of course, there would have to be some reward, wouldn't there? Well, what would you want? We can supply virtually anything if you'll do the job properly. Osmiridium, sapphires, books, women." The man named Jack shook his head. "Gold," he said. Carson was startled. "Gold? But why would you want—" "Oh, very well. Gold is the reigning object of value in your day, isn't it? Would 25 pounds be enough?" The man from the past smiled unwarmly. "Quite enough," he said. "You got yourself a deal." The man named Jack cautiously approached the big building that served as a headquarters for Lugert, until the time when he would move into the sprawling area of the government building. Jack wore modern clothes. His own shabby ancient ones were carefully stored away in a laboratory closet. His hair was close cropped in the current fashion. But inside his skull was the mind of a 20th century man, and hidden in the folds of his vest was a 20th century automatic, a snub-nosed .38, ready to spit death. The day was 5 September 2531. He had been in this strange world of the future 3 days, and if all went well he would return to his own time today. He had spent the 3 days studying the approach to Lugert's headquarters, familiarizing himself with the layout, readying himself for the killing that had to be done. He was thinking, funny old duck, that Carson. They all are. Imagine letting somebody like Lugert push them all over the place because all the fight's been bred out of them. Well, in 600 years, a lot can happen. He shrugged. It wasn't his business to worry about the doings of his remote descendants. His business was to kill. He knew that Lugert's personal suite was on the 8th floor of the building, that he was guarded by one man outside the door, one at the elevator entrance, and several in the lobby. He didn't have to worry about the ones in the lobby. He didn't really have to worry about any of them on the way in. They wouldn't be expecting anyone dangerous. The only dangerous people in this world were Lugert and his henchmen, and they'd probably be off guard when he came by. His forearm itched where Lorenz had inserted a sliver of metal. The old scientist had been very apologetic. "I'm sorry, Jack, but we have to do this. We can't risk having another Lugert. This is to make sure you don't get delusions of power once you finish off Lugert." "What do you mean?" "I mean we can control you hypnotically through this generator I've embedded in your arm, just in case you decide not to go back to your own time when you're through here." "Don't worry, I wouldn't want to run this place." He couldn't blame them for being cautious. Not at all. They'd be even more helpless before him than they would be under Lugert, after all. He drew near the big building. The guard in front said, "Who are you and where are you going?" Jack made his voice as subservient sounding as he could. He said, "I'm from Speaker Carson. I'd like to see Lugert." The guard frowned. How come Carson didn't just phone the boss? "Beats me," Jack said. "Must be top secret." The guard frowned at Jack's strange language, shrugged, and sent him on in. He passed rapidly through the lobby and reached the elevator. A guard inside the elevator wanted to know where he was going. "I'm from Speaker Carson," he said. "I have an urgent message to deliver to Lugert." The guard held out his hand. "Let's have it. I'll take it to him. The boss doesn't like to meet strangers." Smiling coldly, Jack fumbled in his pocket and withdrew the .38. It fired once. The silencer muffled the sound down to a squirt. A neat hole appeared in the elevator operator's head. Still smiling, Jack pressed 8 and waited for the door to close. 3 minutes and 2 killings later, he stood outside the office of Lugert himself. The elevator was clear now, and the floor was empty of henchmen. That would make the getaway easier, Jack thought. He knocked. "Who's there?" a voice growled. "Mr. Lugert?" "Yeah. Who's there and what do you want?" "An urgent message from Speaker Carson, sir. Very important that I see you, Mr. Lugert." After a considerable pause, the door swung open. Lugert stood there, wearing a glittering plastic robe. He hadn't shaved. He was short and squat and fierce-looking. Jack smiled and drew the gun. "Please step inside, keep your hands in the air," he said quietly, "and don't make a fuss. This gun happens to kill people when it goes off." Lugert stepped back. Jack noticed the man didn't seem frightened, and wondered whether it was because Lugert just didn't believe another man could probably offer danger, or because Lugert was without fear. He said, "I've killed 3 of your henchmen. I'm figuring on killing you now. Speaker Carson is paying me to do it, Lugert." Quietly, Lugert said, "And who are you? Where'd you come from?" "You can call me Jack. You don't know me." "I can see there's a toughness about you," Lugert said. "You're like me. I didn't think there were any others like me in the world. Where did Carson find you?" "In the past, Lugert. In yesterday. He dredged me up from the 20th century. There were lots like you and me then, Lugert." For the first time, fear showed in Lugert's face. A driblet of perspiration snaked down the side of his fleshy jaw. Paler than he had been before, he said, "From the past? Then you can really kill me?" Jack nodded. "I'm going to. Carson's paying me 25 pounds of gold for it." "Gold? But that stuff's worthless. You can find it anywhere. What do you want gold for?" "In my time," said Jack, "the stuff wasn't so common. It was worth plenty. Times change." A crafty glint showed in Lugert's eyes. "You're just a hired killer, then. A man without conscience. Suppose I offer you 30 pounds of gold not to kill me. 50 pounds. 100. The generator in Jack's arm twitched warningly. He knew Carson and Lorenz were listening in. "No," he said, "there's no percentage in it. You don't have the time net. You can't send me back to my own time. I'll stick with their offer." "No! Look, we can be partners. You're the kind of man I could get to like, Jack. We'll work together, you and me. 50-50. An even split." Again the generator twitched. Jack sighed. "Sorry, Lugert, can't do it. I made an agreement, and I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to kill you." Sweat streamed down Lugert's face. "It's not fair," he said. "I had this world under my thumb, and then they had to find you somewhere. Why? Why'd they have to mess everything up?" "Sorry, Lugert. It's just a lousy break for you," Jack said emotionlessly. "This is the way it's going to be." "No!" Lugert yelled. Jack raised the .38. Lugert threw up his hands as if to protect himself, but Jack's fingers tightened anyway. The gun went squirt. Lugert toppled heavily to the floor. He lay there on the heavy pile rug, his blood spilling out and staining the brown carpet a deep red. Jack looked at him calmly. Then he turned and left the room. The floor was still empty. Quietly, he got into the untended elevator, rode it to the lobby, and stepped out into the street. The whole job had taken 10 minutes. 10 minutes and 4 killings, and he hadn't even raised a sweat. Darrell and Carson and Dr. Lorenz were waiting for him in the council room of the government building when he got back. "Great work," Carson said. He looked pale and shaken. "We watched the whole thing over the transmitter Lorentz built into you. Every step. It was well done." "Thanks," Jack said. "Is the gold ready?" Lorentz handed him a heavy satchel. "It's here. 25 pounds. Plus 5 pounds extra for your cooperation." "Thanks again," Jack said. "Glad to be of help." He didn't mention the moments when he wavered, when he had nearly gone over to Lugert's side. Probably would have, if it hadn't been for the generator planted in his arm. He wondered briefly how it would have been living here with all these quiet, philosophical types. He said, "I suppose you're going to send me back to my own time now?" Lorentz nodded. The four of them went to Lorentz's office, and Jack climbed back into the elaborate harness. Lorentz bustled around him, making adjustments carefully. "We have to gauge this thing to the minute, you know," he explained. "No mistakes." "I appreciate the care," Jack said. He held tightly to his satchel. "We owe you a tremendous debt of gratitude," Carson said. "A debt that no satchel of gold could ever repay. You've done us a great service. You're a hero, Jack. A savior of humanity. We'd never have beaten Lugert without you." "Ready to go?" Lorentz said. He threw the switch. Time began to swirl around the killer from the past. As 2531 started to fade away from him, he grinned for the last time and said, "Imagine that, me, a hero. I like that. Me, John Dillinger, a savior of humanity." And then he was gone. The end of Hero from Yesterday by Robert Randall.